If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. If you've been keeping up with the NFL, you know there are trades that make headlines, and then there are trades that haunt a franchise for years. And right now, the Cleveland Browns are living in that nightmare. Analysts, fans, and even casual observers have been scratching their heads since 2022, when the Browns decided to make what some are calling the worst trade in NFL history. It wasn't a small move. It wasn't a minor tweak to the roster. No, the Browns, in a bold and headline-grabbing maneuver, traded 3 first-round picks to the Houston Texans to acquire Deshaun Watson. Watson, at the time, was coming off a season filled with potential, promise, and, admittedly, some controversy. But the Browns saw him as the answer, the missing piece that could elevate their team into the elite ranks of the NFL. They cut the head clean off the Baker Mayfield era, moving on from the quarterback who had carried their hopes and dreams since being drafted first overall, and they handed Watson a fully guaranteed, 5-year, $230 million contract. To most, it seemed like a gamble worth taking. To now, some say it's been a catastrophic error that will linger for years. Nick Padone, a respected Browns analyst, made waves this week when he flatly called the trade the worst in the history of professional sports. Padone, speaking on the Big Play Cleveland show, was at his breaking point. The trigger? Watching Baker Mayfield, the very quarterback the Browns traded away, lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to victory on Monday Night Football. Mayfield capped off the game with a clutch touchdown drive, further proving that he still has the ability to command an offense, make plays under pressure, and elevate a team that was already competitive. Meanwhile, the Browns suffered another loss, marking their 17th defeat in just 20 games since the trade. The contrast was stark, almost painful, and Padone didn't hold back. The decision to move on from Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson still haunts this team, he said. It's hard to argue with that sentiment. You don't see a former player outperforming his old team this dramatically unless there's a systemic failure somewhere. Padone didn't stop at just lamenting the missed opportunity. He tore into the Browns for the sheer scale of what they gave up and the lack of return on investment. The offense has a $230 million albatross that they invested 3 first-round picks into, he said. They still owe him $80 million on their cap sheet next year, and they've gotten quite literally zero production from that. Zero production? That's not hyperbole. Over 4 seasons with Cleveland, Watson has started only 19 games. In those appearances, he's amassed less than 3,500 passing yards and thrown just 19 passing touchdowns. For a franchise that poured not just 3 valuable first-round draft picks, but also a fully guaranteed $230 million into a quarterback, that level of output is catastrophic. Every analyst in the country can crunch the numbers, and they all come to the same conclusion. This trade has failed spectacularly. When Watson was signed to that extension, no one could have predicted the depth of the disaster. Injuries, inconsistency, and frankly underwhelming performance have plagued his tenure. Meanwhile, the Browns have been left with gaping holes in their roster. Padone's criticism extends beyond the numbers. It's about the philosophy of the move. You could have used a first-round pick on an offensive lineman, he pointed out. The tackle position on the Browns, he argues, is laughable, and using those picks to shore up the roster might have paid dividends in a way that trading for Watson never did. Cleveland gambled on one player to lift an entire roster, and the results, to put it mildly, have not come close to matching the investment. Some might argue that even if Mayfield had stayed, certain pieces would have aged poorly. Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. These are players who, naturally, are not immortal. Padone, however, challenges that narrative with a question that cuts to the heart of the matter. How would Jerry Jeudy look as WR2 with a guy like Malik Nabers as your WR1? The implication is clear. Had the Browns kept Mayfield, invested their first-round picks wisely, and surrounded him with younger, ascending talent, the trajectory of this team could have been radically different. Instead, the Browns find themselves in a situation where they are burdened with Watson's massive contract, still paying for 3 first-round picks they no longer control, and watching their former quarterback thrive elsewhere. It's a scenario that is as painful as it is embarrassing, particularly for a franchise desperate to shake its reputation as a perennial underperformer. The Browns' current record, 0-2, adds fuel to the fire. While Mayfield and the Buccaneers are 2-0 to start the season, Cleveland is left grappling with the reality that their big bet didn't pay off. The psychological impact on the team, the locker room, and even the fan base is significant. Football is as much a mental game as it is a physical one, and knowing that the quarterback you traded away is outperforming your current starter can't be good for morale. Pedone's statement about dead weight still being around is not just about the money or the draft picks. It's about a culture of regret that now pervades the organization. Every time Watson steps onto the field, every time the Browns struggle to find offensive rhythm, that shadow of a failed trade looms large. It's worth noting that the scale of the failure isn't just in the financials. It's an opportunity cost, development, and long-term strategic missteps. Those 3 first-round picks could have been transformative. They could have addressed glaring weaknesses, strengthened the offensive line, added depth to the defense, or secured a young, dynamic receiver to grow alongside Mayfield. Instead, they were sacrificed for one player whose health, consistency, and performance have all failed to justify the investment. And with the clock ticking and the Browns' window to contend narrowing, the repercussions are felt not just this season, but potentially for years to come. Looking at the numbers, the contrast is brutal. Less than 3,500 passing yards over 19 starts, 19 touchdowns, and the looming $80 million cap hit make it difficult to see any positive outcome. Pedone's characterization of Watson as literally zero production is harsh, but it resonates when you consider the scale of the expectations. This wasn't a small gamble. This was a franchise-defining move, and history may remember it not for boldness, but for how spectacularly it misfired. It's a cautionary tale for NFL front offices, a reminder that even top-tier talent comes with risk, and that 3 first-round picks, when mismanaged, can vanish like smoke. The Browns' predicament now is as much about perception as performance. Fans, analysts, and players alike are aware that the team's current struggles are intertwined with this decision. The optics of watching Mayfield flourish while the Browns flounder is a public relations nightmare. It invites endless speculation, criticism, and second-guessing of management decisions. And it's not just a 2025 problem. It's a problem that will echo for years. The contract guarantees mean Watson is not going anywhere anytime soon, which locks the Browns into a situation they cannot easily rectify. Every loss, every stagnant offensive drive, reinforces the narrative that this trade was catastrophic. In the end, Pedone's declaration that the Deshaun Watson trade may be the worst in professional sports history might not be hyperbole. When you consider the lost draft capital, the colossal guaranteed money, the minimal production, and the psychological blow of watching the player you traded outperform your current quarterback, the argument becomes compelling. Cleveland gambled everything on a single move, and in 2025, that gamble has failed. The Browns are left to rebuild around a burden that cannot be shed, and to face a fan base and media that will not let them forget this misstep. The fantasy of a world where Baker Mayfield stayed, where draft picks strengthened the roster, and where $230 million could have been leveraged differently is tantalizing, almost painfully so. But the reality is dystopian. The dead weight remains. The mistakes are permanent, and the NFL continues to watch one of the most expensive, least productive trades in history unfold in real time. So, for the Cleveland Browns, the future is not just about wins and losses. It's about redemption, about making the right choices moving forward, and about grappling with a legacy defined in part by one colossal misstep. Nick Pedone's words are blunt, unflinching, and difficult to argue with. That dead weight is still around, and is still going to be around next year. For Browns fans, that's a harsh reality check, a reminder that sometimes the costliest mistakes in sports aren't just financial. They're the ones that haunt you every single week, every single snap, and every single moment when the scoreboard reminds you of what could have been. And until Cleveland finds a way to navigate this quagmire, every highlight reel, every loss, and every fleeting moment of hope will be measured against the shadow of the trade that never should have happened. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. National shockwaves are rippling through the NFL world tonight, and the epicenter? None other than the Cleveland Browns. Fans, analysts, and even casual football watchers are buzzing with whispers and hot takes after Travis Kelce, the Kansas City Chiefs superstar tight end, dropped what many are calling a hard-hitting message about Shedeur Sanders. Yes, you heard that right. The chatter around the league has suddenly shifted, and the Browns' locker room is reportedly simmering. The rumors started circulating late last night after a social media snippet went viral, and since then, nothing has been the same. Kelce, known for his candidness and sometimes controversial commentary off the field, didn't hold back, and the tone of his remarks has left many wondering about the future dynamics in Cleveland. Sources close to the Browns claim the mood is tense, the kind of tension that could affect team chemistry and even ripple into their upcoming season strategy. According to insiders, Kelce's message was not just a generic motivational statement or a casual comment. Instead, it seemed pointed, layered, and almost strategic, sending a clear signal to Shedeur Sanders, the young quarterback who has already been under the microscope ever since joining the Browns. Shedeur, son of NFL legend Deion Sanders, has faced enormous pressure to perform, and every move he makes is dissected by fans and analysts alike. Kelce, however, has a way of cutting through the noise, and his words appear to have struck a chord, or perhaps a nerve. While the exact content of the message has been debated, multiple accounts suggest that Kelce challenged Sanders' readiness and leadership, implying that stepping up in the NFL is about more than just raw talent. It's about poise, vision, and command on and off the field. This has naturally set off alarm bells in Cleveland, where the Browns have been chasing consistency at the quarterback position for years. The timing of Kelce's remarks couldn't be more dramatic. The Browns are entering a critical phase of preseason evaluations, and any hint of discord could fuel speculation about trades, roster moves, or even internal power struggles. Sources hint that some players in the locker room are quietly defending Shedeur, emphasizing his potential and the pressure he's under as a rookie, while others are reportedly nodding in agreement with Kelce's assessment, acknowledging that the league demands excellence from day one. The dynamic is fascinating. It's like watching a simmering pot, one comment away from boiling over. Social media has exploded with clips, memes, and fiery takes, with fans divided between those who see Kelce as a mentor calling out a young QB and those who view it as an unprovoked challenge. Meanwhile, sports analysts are scrambling to contextualize the remark, debating whether it's part of Kelce's reputation for candor or a subtle power play that could shape team hierarchy in Cleveland. The Browns front office has not made any official statements yet, but whispers suggest internal meetings have been scheduled to address the fallout. Team chemistry is often as critical as playmaking ability, and any disruption, especially involving high-profile players, is scrutinized meticulously. Some insiders hint that Kelce's comments could even influence Shedeur's approach to leadership and preparation, pushing him to embrace the kind of accountability that separates good quarterbacks from great ones. Meanwhile, veteran players in Cleveland are reportedly treading carefully, trying not to fan the flames, but also recognizing that leadership lessons often come from outside voices, even if those voices belong to opponents. This unusual cross-team commentary has sparked comparisons to past NFL scenarios, where veteran stars issued pointed statements that ultimately shifted locker room dynamics and, in some cases, defined seasons. Fans have responded with unbridled speculation, creating a storm of debate across platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Every highlight of Shedeur's preseason throws is now being analyzed through the lens of Kelce's remarks. Some commentators are questioning whether the message was motivational or confrontational, while others argue it's a wake-up call, the kind every young quarterback secretly needs. Podcasts, YouTube streams, and sports radio shows are seizing on the story, amplifying every detail, every subtle body language clip, and every cryptic tweet. The Browns themselves are walking a delicate line, balancing the nurturing of a young quarterback with the realities of a high-stakes league. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, Kelce's own team, appear to be watching the fallout with quiet intrigue, knowing that one offhand comment can sometimes ignite headlines bigger than any Sunday performance. Behind the scenes, rumors suggest that discussions in the Browns facility are heating up. Coaches, front office executives, and veteran players are reportedly debating how to address the situation publicly, if at all. Do they defend Shedeur, acknowledge Kelce's points, or attempt to quietly diffuse the tension. The strategic choices here could have major consequences, not only for team morale, but also for Shedeur's confidence as he navigates his first full season. Insiders claim that Kelce's comments are the type that reverberate in the locker room, a subtle but powerful form of pressure that can push players to step up or crack under scrutiny. It's the kind of narrative every team dreads, but also secretly thrives on because high-pressure environments can produce exceptional performances. The Browns are now at a crossroads, and the world is watching to see whether Shedeur will rise to the challenge or whether the buzz will evolve into a larger controversy. Meanwhile, the media frenzy isn't slowing down. Analysts dissecting film clips, journalists probing every angle, and fan forums lighting up like wildfire have turned this single comment into a national talking point. The story has evolved from a simple remark into a broader discussion about leadership, talent development, and the intense scrutiny young quarterbacks face in today's NFL. Comparisons to legendary player rivalries and mentorship moments abound, highlighting the stakes involved. Some fans are even suggesting that Kelce's commentary could serve as a blueprint for Shedeur's evolution, framing it as tough love rather than criticism. Yet, others see it as a power move, designed to rattle confidence and test the mental resilience of a player still finding his footing in the league. Either way, the ripple effect is undeniable, with implications reaching far beyond Cleveland, touching the larger discourse on how NFL superstars interact with rising talent across the league. As the Browns prepare for the next preseason game, all eyes will inevitably be on Shedeur Sanders. Will he channel Kelce's words into motivation, or will they fuel a firestorm that tests his poise under pressure? Will the Browns coaching staff step in to mediate, or allow the young quarterback to navigate this storm independently? Fans and insiders alike are speculating about potential scenarios, from breakout performances to internal conflicts, and the suspense is only heightening the sense of drama around Cleveland's camp. Meanwhile, Kelce's boldness has cemented his reputation not just as an elite player, but as a figure unafraid to speak his mind, potentially shaping narratives across the NFL. The rumor mill is alive, buzzing louder than ever, with each passing hour adding new layers to an already complex situation. It's rare for a single remark to catalyze such a cascade of speculation, but in this case, it seems Kelce has achieved exactly that, creating headlines, sparking debate, and setting the stage for what could be one of the most intriguing storylines of the season. As we watch this drama unfold, one thing is clear. The Browns are at a tipping point. Shedeur Sanders is under an intense spotlight, and Travis Kelce has once again proven that his influence extends far beyond the gridiron. Whether this moment becomes a turning point, a cautionary tale, or simply another anecdote in NFL lore, it's impossible to ignore the ripple effect of his words. Cleveland fans, NFL analysts, and football enthusiasts everywhere are bracing for the next chapter, knowing that in the League of Giants, one comment can echo louder than any touchdown, and one rising star can either rise to the challenge or stumble under the pressure. The saga has only just begun, and the nation is watching, captivated by every rumor, every reaction, and every possible twist in this high-stakes drama. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!